Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Capuano. I am the University Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs at Fairleigh Dickinson University. I am delighted to welcome everyone, students, faculty, staff, administrators, trustees, and guests, to the university's convocation for the 2013-2014 academic year. To begin, it is my pleasure to introduce those members of the Platform Party who are not active participants in this afternoon's program. Please stand and remain standing as I call your name. I ask the audience to please hold your applause until I have introduced everyone. John Codd, University General Counsel. Hanya Ferrara, Vice President for Finance and Treasurer. Karen Lewis, President, Professional Administrative Senate. June Middleton, President of the Faculty Senate. William Roberts, Vice President of the Faculty Senate. Richard Reese, Senior Vice President for University Advancement. Richard Riccio, Vice President for Administration. Neil Sturm, Vice President and Chief Information Officer. Board of Trustees, Patrick J. Zenner, Chairman. Steve Grumbach. Franklin Jennifer. Stuart Krensman. William O'Neill. Ann Petroselli. Robert Perez, and Mary Kay Stratus. I would also like to introduce at this time the Dean of Students on each of our New Jersey campuses. Please stand when I call your name and be recognized. First, Michelle McCroy-Hines, Dean of Students on the Metropolitan Campus. I was informed that Michelle cannot be with us this afternoon, but is with us in spirit. Jasmine Verum, Dean of Students, College at Florham. I would also like to recognize the leaders of our student government associations. First, Rohan Maheshwari, the SGA President of the Metropolitan Campus. Rohan is an international student from India. He is currently a senior and an honor student majoring in computer science. Rohan served as the treasurer of the Student Government Association last year and has been an orientation leader in the International Student Services Office for 2 years. In addition, he is a teacher's assistant in the Gildhart and Oswald Hasse School of Computer Sciences and Engineering and a tutor for the Center for Academic Student Services. Next, Gina Guerrastante is the SGA president at the College of Florham. Gina could not be with us today, but I would like to tell you a little bit about her. Gina is enrolled in the 5-year accelerated bachelor's-master's program in industrial organizational psychology and is also completing a minor in business administration. As a member of the SGA, she was a strong advocate for wireless internet in dorm rooms, TVs in on-campus eateries, and the reconfiguration of the Maddie Awards ceremony. She also coordinated a program called Hot Topics to make students more aware of current events. Outside of student government, Gina has been a member of the Accounting Society, the Florham Programming Committee, the Devil's Dance Team, and has volunteered as a service trip participant. Are there any retired faculty present today? If so, please stand so that we may acknowledge you. I would also ask you to acknowledge in absentia the faculty, staff, and students not in attendance today because they reside at other campuses. Our campus in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, FDU Vancouver, and our campus in England, Roxton College. It is now my pleasure to present the deans of our 4 colleges who will introduce their new faculty members. Faculty should stand when their name is called and remain standing until all names have been called in their college. I ask the audience to hold its applause until all names are read in a college. First, we have Jeffrey Wyman, Dean of the Maxwell Becton College of Arts and Sciences, who will introduce the new faculty in Becton College.
Thank you, Dr. Capuano. It's my pleasure to introduce the faculty who are joining us this year in the Maxwell Becton College of Arts and Sciences. Will you please stand when your name is called? Francesca DeJulie. Kaylin O'Connor Fitzpatrick. I know she couldn't be with us today. She's running a lab. John Brian Freeman. Richard Nisa. And Harold Parza. Welcome to all of you. Now I would like to introduce the Dean of the School of Pharmacy to introduce his new faculty, Michael Aveltroni.
Thank you, Dean Weinman. It's with great pleasure that I am able to introduce the faculty of the School of Pharmacy who are beginning or have begun in this past academic year. Please first welcome Dr. Antonia Carbone, Clinical Assistant Professor of Pharmacy Practice. Nina Elk, Clinical Assistant Professor of Pharmacy Practice. Dr. Pamela Giordano, Clinical Assistant Professor of Pharmacy Practice. Dr. Stacy Hardillo, Clinical Assistant Professor of Pharmacy Practice. Dr. Abdullahi Mohammed, Assistant Professor of Pharmacy Practice. Tae-Yoon Park, Assistant Professor of Pharmacy Practice. And Sandeep Vansal, Associate Professor of Pharmaceutical Science. Welcome to each one of you.
Sounds like there's a lot of pharmacy practice going on at this institution, which is good to hear. Kenneth T. Verkins, Dean of the Anthony J. Petrocelli College of Continuing Studies, will now introduce the new faculty in Petrocelli College.
Thank you, Dr. Capuano, and welcome to the Anthony J. Petrocelli College of Continuing Studies. Madeira Edwards, Senior Lecturer of Interdisciplinary Studies. Robin A. Labisco, Assistant Professor of Sports Administration. William M. Toms, Assistant Professor of Administrative Science. Welcome to Petrocelli College and to the university.
Interim Dean of the Silverman College of Business, James Almeida, will now introduce the new faculty in Silverman College.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Provost Capuano. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Lofty Tadic, Assistant Professor of Information Systems and Decision Sciences, who has joined our faculty on the Vancouver campus. Unfortunately, Dr. Tadic could not join us today, but I'm sure he is here in spirit. So please join me in welcoming him. Thank you.
Patty Mills, Dean of University College, Arts, Sciences, and Professional Studies, will now introduce the new faculty in University College.
Thank you, Chris. It's my very great pleasure to introduce our new faculty. Dr. Bruno Battistoli, Assistant Professor of Multimedia Journalism. Dr. Giri Nandikatkar, Assistant Professor of Physics. Dr. Dana Ryan, Assistant Professor of Literacy and Reading Education. And Dr. Jason Williams, Lecturer in Criminal Justice. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Metropolitan Campus. I'm Joseph Kiernan, the Provost of the Metropolitan Campus. My assignment at this point is to introduce our president, Sheldon Drucker. It's an interesting assignment since he's been acting as president for at least the last 2 years, and almost everybody already knows him. I could take 10 minutes and read all sorts of things in Shelley's background and so forth, but I think we'll advance the program and save the time, and perhaps Shelley will use the time to explain to us why New York bagels are better than New Jersey bagels. President Drucker.
Thank you, Provost Kiernan. Good afternoon. I'm pleased to be with you and welcome you to the start of what we hope will be a very successful year. FDU has much to be proud of, much to celebrate, and much to anticipate. But we also have much to contend with, as does all of higher education. Many of you are familiar with the canaries in the coal mine. The birds would be used to determine the presence of dangerous gases. If the birds stopped singing or the birds died, the workers would heed the warning signs and exit the mine immediately. Are we in higher education paying attention to the warning signs? The concerns include rising tuition, mounting debt burdens, both for universities and their students, reduced government aid, and increased pressure and competition for attracting students. With the high cost of college, some have begun to raise hard questions about the worth of the investment. Many are demanding accountability from colleges, and many have said they are losing faith in the value of an American education. Tuition costs have risen almost 5 times the rate of inflation since 1983, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And since 1980, the cost of both public and private institutions has roughly tripled in inflation-adjusted dollars. While some, like FDU, have kept their increases modest in recent years, tuition costs remain expensive and provide ammunition for our critics. Overall, debt levels have more than doubled from 2000 to 2011 at more than 500 institutions rated by Moody's. At the same time, cuts in programs and personnel have occurred at many colleges and universities, including many of our peer institutions in the metropolitan area. Fortunately, FDU has not taken on more debt in over a decade. Through careful financial management, FDU has grown without borrowing money, but many have not been so fortunate. Earlier this year, Moody's Investor Service offered a sobering negative outlook for higher education, especially those institutions dependent on tuition and state money, like FDU. Last year, the total amount of student debt exceeded $1 trillion for the first time, and 40% of people under 30 are now paying student loans. Even relatively wealthy families are dramatically decreasing the amount they pay for a college education. More and more, they say they would choose a lower price institution, even if it was not their first choice. In other words, they're shopping carefully for bargain values. There's a growing uncertainty in the aid available from federal and state sources. After regularly receiving more than $3 million annually from the state of New Jersey, Fairleigh Dickinson University has received no aid in the past 3 years. This year, the state agreed to award Fairleigh Dickinson $161,500. And we're grateful for that, but it's far cry from what is needed and what we have received in the past. And the aid that is available from the government may not be easy to obtain. A growing number of advocates for change, including the President of the United States, would like to tie college appropriations and aid to their students to performance measures, including graduation rates. There are many other concerns, including the incredible rising cost of health care for colleges, the problems of deferred maintenance, and the increasing demands of providing premium facilities and modern technologies. Because these and other issues, it's no surprise that a survey last year by the Time magazine and the Carnegie Corporation found that 96% of the public and senior administrators of colleges believe that higher education is in a crisis. And in a survey this month by FDU's own Public Mind, they found that just about half of the New Jersey voters think that the cost of higher education is no longer worth it. The headlines daily alert us to the growing dissatisfaction. They include where higher education went wrong. Is college a lousy investment? Are we paying too much for higher education? Higher education, not what it used to be. Yogi Berra once said, the future ain't what it used to be. In the case of higher education, it seems that many think he may be right. The question for us now is, are we paying attention to the critics? Are we paying close enough attention to our students and their needs? Are we carefully paying attention to the canaries? Or do we think it's another case of alarmist rhetoric? For those who think that, let me point out that FDU's enrollment has dropped from last year, and FDU's total revenues are down from a year ago. This despite aggressive recruitment strategies, increased outreach efforts, and increased financial aid. I'm afraid we must do more with less, and we must reverse this trend despite all the external challenges. I was raised an optimist. My parents never attended college, but they believed that through education, one can build a better life and make important contributions to society. So I always knew that I was going to college, and I always believed that a college education was going to help me be successful. I do not doubt for one second the power and importance of education. But in nearly 2 decades of carefully surveying the landscape of higher education, I've never been more concerned about the future of the American university. I, unfortunately, believe there are institutions that will not survive this crisis. FDU, on the other hand, will not only survive, but FDU will thrive. And FDU will emerge stronger than ever. What makes me so sure that FDU will succeed while others will fail? As I said, I was raised an optimist. But having been here for nearly 2 decades, I know a few things about Fairleigh Dickinson University. From the incredibly talented faculty to our global mission, from a vast array of programs to our impressive portfolio of support services and benefits, we offer a great deal. But even more importantly, we have a long displayed certain traits and committed ourselves to certain values that have endured and will continue to endure. What makes me convinced FDU will survive and prosper is not so much what we offer, but what we stand for. We stand for innovation. From the time Peter Sammartino introduced his grand educational experiment in Rutherford, Fairleigh Dickinson has been courageous enough to jump ahead of the pack and launch bold new ventures. We've carried this onward with entrepreneurial initiatives like establishing a campus in Canada, a new school of pharmacy, and a cybercrime training lab. We stand for agility and flexibility. We respond to market trends with programs that give students a competitive edge, and we deliver programs when and where people need them. Take, for example, our many off-campus programs and our fully online degree programs like the MS in Homeland Security or the Masters for Sports Administration, or consider programs like the MBA and the MS in Accounting for Orthodox Jews in Lakewood and Montville, whose schedules demand flexibility. Or consider the MAS program for diplomats, or our degree completion programs for the National Football League players, and there's so many other examples. We stand for accessibility and opportunity. This has been a trademark of our institution from the beginning. Look at our nationally renowned support services for veterans, or Puerto al Futuro for Spanish-speaking adults, and Latino Promise for Latino students. We help these students overcome barriers. We also stand for transformation. This summer, I was at Roxton College for the reunion of the class of 1968. It was incredible to talk to these alumni and learn about the university and the profound impact it has had on them, and how Roxton changed their lives. There they gained a global perspective that propelled their careers and influenced them throughout their lives. But Roxton is not the only vehicle for transformation at FDU. Whether it's a study abroad program, a lecture by a global virtual faculty member, or dinner with the UN ambassador, we offer incredible landscape of opportunities that open new worlds to our students. We also stand for resiliency. FDU has known hard times. We have known challenges. We saw enrollments drop significantly at one point, from 23,000 to 8,000. But we overcame that. We saw financial struggles mount, and we made tough decisions to close our original campus. But we overcame that. I remember coming on board soon after Rutherford was closed, and I remember the concerns many had about just funding basic operations and paying the payroll. But we overcame that. We righted the ship and produced 14 consecutive balanced budgets. We are truly resilient. I not only believe in these enduring values at FDU, but I believe firmly that there is an urgent need for the university. There's a need for our mission. There is a need for our students in the world. So there are challenges, and there are enduring values that we will bring to that battle. But what do we do now? In this challenging environment, we have an opportunity to set ourselves apart, but it won't be easy. There's an old Latin proverb that says, if there is no wind, row. We have no winds at our backs, but we will row. Throughout this fall, I will be meeting with faculty, students, alumni, and staff to discuss our ideas their ideas and my ideas for the future. I also set up an online questionnaire to gather input on what we would do and what we can do better. With your input and collaboration, a new strategic plan will be drafted, which will identify a clear roadmap to deal with our challenges and elevate our institution. Together, we will chart a course. Together, we will dream a vision of the future, and together we will make that dream come true. Together, we will define our future. But what about today? What about right now? The future begins with the efforts of each of us in this room and in our community. The future starts with our faculty. You are the leaders in the front line. You are the prime forces shaping student lives and careers. You represent and define an FDU education. How many of you remember the president of the college you attended? I sure don't. But I remember my faculty. They changed my life. And so I ask you to do what you always do and do it as well as ever. And I will support your great work and to the very best of my ability. As you engage in the classroom, I will be sharing your work, sharing our story with all who will listen. I will focus approximately half my time on raising funds and generating new sources of revenues for the benefit of you and our students, with emphasis on raising money for scholarships that make FDU more attractive and within the financial means of our students and their families. Beyond that, I have several immediate goals that I would like us to focus on. I cannot stress enough the need to make our programs more affordable. And it goes without saying that what we are striving for is for continuing improvement in the quality of what we offer. We may need to consolidate, reorganize, and restructure some of our operations. And we will need to invest in programs that offer high returns on those investments. There are some specific priorities. For example, I've asked our university provost, Chris Capuano, to take the leadership of integrating career planning and experiential learning into the curriculum. We also want to develop new faculty mentorship programs to support our students and improve retention and graduation rates. I am asking and working with Rick Reese, Senior Vice President for University Advancement, to develop new opportunities for faculty to engage with alumni and keep them connected to their alma mater. I would like the deans and the faculty to focus on continuing integration of educational technology into the classroom and the development of more blended and online courses and programs. We were pioneers when we introduced online learning requirement, and we want to remain in the forefront of blending online learning with face-to-face instruction. We must continue to do all we can to provide a nurturing and supporting and learning and living environment that attracts and retains great students. Improving our retention and graduation rates is paramount to our future success. There are many priorities, and I look forward to continuing the discussion with you to identify other needs and develop new ideas to better serve our students. We will plan together and we will succeed together. I can't tell you exactly all that we will do right now, but I can share with you an example of why we do what we do. Ivana Vianney grew up in a poor village in eastern Croatia. But the time she was a teenager, she knew the pain of hunger, the fear of terror, and the horror of war. But she had the courage to dream. She saw America as the land of opportunity, and she knew education was the path to make her dreams come true. She came to the United States with less than $100 in her pocket, and she eventually earned an associate's degree. And then she found FDU. A full-time student with a full-time job, she sacrificed much to succeed in her studies, while continually demonstrating the compassion and humanity that makes her so special. She volunteered to help the sick, the poor, the mentally ill, and victims of violence, and she became an assistant social worker at Holy Name Hospital. She later quit her job to enjoy full-time college experience and took advantage of FDU, all that FDU has to offer. In 2009, Ivana graduated summa cum laude with a bachelor's degree in psychology. She then enrolled in FDU's pre-medical program while working full-time in the Office of Public Safety. Asked about her reasons for going into the medical field, Ivana said, "Before I was born, my grandmother died from a broken leg. The nearest doctor was hours away. When she finally reached the hospital, it was hours before anyone looked at her. I grew up in the shadow of her death and the deaths of so many of my family members who could have been saved had they been afforded adequate and appropriate care." This fall, I'm pleased to tell you, Ivana began studying at Harvard Medical School. I spoke to Ivana on Monday. She's doing well, and she wanted to be here and thank the faculty. But her first exams were this week. Ivana learned that through her education, she could influence and shape her world. Ivana is the reason we are here. We are here to nurture the hopes and fuel the dreams of our students. We are here to ensure that where there is a strong will and where there is ambition, we will provide that opportunity. Thomas Jefferson once wrote, "The best prize life offers is the chance to work hard at work worth doing." Clearly, your work is worth doing. Who will be the next Ivana? She or he may be in your classroom this semester. Have a wonderful year, and thank you. Dr. Capuano?
Thank you, President Drucker. I am now pleased to present the recipients of the 2013 Distinguished Faculty Awards. As in the past, this year's recipients are being honored for their outstanding achievements and contributions to the university community. The recipient of this year's Distinguished Faculty Award for Teaching is Professor Peter Burkholder. Peter, please come forward. Peter Burkholder, Associate Professor of History, Distinguished Faculty Award for Teaching. As American writer William A. Ward once wrote, "The mediocre teacher tells. The good teacher explains. The superior teacher demonstrates. The great teacher inspires." Since arriving at Fairleigh Dickinson University in 2005, you have elevated the art of teaching, inspiring not only students in your classroom, but also fellow faculty in your department, college, and university. You've taught a variety of history subjects, covering the Roman Empire, medieval history and film, the Black Death, Mediterranean history, and explorers and exploration, all with equal expertise. Using techniques you are known for, small group work, broad class discussions, critical reading, and simultaneous annotating, your students develop into critical thinkers. As one student commented, "I found this style of coursework to be incredibly helpful in learning what it takes to be a good historian. An attention to detail, a drive to dig deeper, and an appreciation for the interconnectedness of the past." Through the Madison Project, your historical methods students gain hands-on experience as they dig even deeper and more fully into the College at Florham's storied past. Under your tutelage, students sort, catalog, and examine primary sources relating to what once was the Vanderbilt Twombly estate, learning how to handle these sources expertly. The project, says one student, sheds new light on the building, what we call today Hennessy Hall, where we sit in classes each day. For your colleagues, the success of your brainchild, the Becton College Faculty Development Committee on Teaching, and its Teaching Triangle offshoot, means expanded collaboration among departments, which leads to better teaching techniques following group discussions, research presentations, and cross-discipline classroom visits. As one colleague phrases it, he forces me and the rest of his colleagues to think more deeply about how we organize our classes, what we demand of students, how we measure their work, and what we do with the time we spend with them. Beyond the halls of FDU, you have established yourself as an authority on pedagogical inquiry and evidence-based teaching presentations in front of the World History Association, the Carnegie Foundation Colloquium on the Scholarship of Teaching and Learning, and the National Endowment for the Humanities Summer Institute. Building upon your 2009 recognition as Becton College's Teacher of the Year, we are proud to honor you today with the Distinguished Faculty Award for Teaching.
Sure.
It's in your way?
Sure. Sure.
Thank you, Provost Capuano, for that very kind introduction, and the various people who said those things that he was just describing. Years ago, I was really fortunate in that I had the opportunity to study with a man named Randy Bass at Georgetown University. And Randy is a world-renowned expert in college-level teaching and learning. And one of the key points that he makes in one of his articles is that in research, a problem is a good thing. A problem is an opportunity. When somebody asks, "Oh, tell me about your research," they're asking, "What problem are you trying to solve right now?" And of course, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we do. But when it comes to teaching, that's a whole other issue. In teaching, you don't want a problem. And if you have one, you certainly don't want other people to know about it. And Randy says, I think he's quite right, that that's really too bad, because in teaching, problems also represent opportunities, and we're trained to solve problems, using evidence-based techniques. But oftentimes we don't do that. We figure that, well, teaching is more of an art, and either you do it well or you don't, and maybe we'll complain that the students just aren't working very hard and leave it at that. Now, believe me, I have teaching problems, and despite everything that you just heard, and I'm not afraid to admit that, but I've been very fortunate to have fantastic support from a department, many of the members of whom have been standing here receiving these awards. And it's been very nice because they've always been very receptive of my pedagogical research and not putting an asterisk at the end of it saying this doesn't really count. I've also been very fortunate through the support of Dean Wyman here, who also has been very supportive of pedagogical inquiry. And he's the one who urged me 5 years ago to start the Faculty Development Committee, and he's been supporting it ever since, so I thank him. Provost Woolley and his predecessor, Ken Green, have also been instrumental in providing us with much-needed reading materials that form the basis of the Faculty Development Committee, so you know that we're actually reading evidence-based literature. These aren't just therapy sessions. And then finally, the members of the Faculty Development Committee themselves, some of whom are here today. There's too many of them for me to name. But I have to admit, this is a group that I really abuse. I force them to come to campus for our meetings early on Wednesday mornings. I assign them homework, and I offer them absolutely nothing in the way of anything to eat or drink at these meetings. And despite all that, they keep coming back year after year after year. And I'm very, very thankful that they do, because working with that group and the teaching triangles that Provost Capuano mentioned, that's really one of the most enjoyable things that I do at FDU. So I owe those people a huge debt of gratitude. And if you people out there, if anybody wants to come in early for meetings on Wednesday mornings, by all means, get in touch with me. We'd be happy to have you. Finally, in closing, I just want to recognize my parents, Jim and Joyce, who are sitting here today. They're visiting from Wisconsin. I'm very glad they could be with me today. As well as a woman with a camera, my wife Martha, on her anniversary, no less. So I'm glad she could be here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, and happy anniversary. Martha as well. The recipient of this year's Distinguished Faculty Award for Research and Scholarship is Professor Robert Prenke. Robert, please come forward. The Distinguished Faculty Award for Research and Scholarship goes to Robert Prenke, Professor of Psychology, Director of the MA Program in Forensic Psychology, Distinguished Faculty Award for Research and Scholarship. Folklorist, anthropologist, and writer Zora Neale Hurston called research formalized curiosity and said, "It is poking and prying with a purpose." The purpose of your academic poking and prying, Robert Prenke, is part of an ongoing effort to understand the psychology of sexual offenders, the causes of sexual violence, and the coercive nature of sexual behavior. Your research interests range from child internet safety and child pornography to female adult sexual predators to developmental psychopathology to recidivism rates to human sexual aggression. You have spoken on these topics and more in front of prominent colleagues and thinkers at annual meetings of the American Psychological Association and British Psychological Society, the National Conference on Sexual Victimization of Children, the International Association of Law and Mental Health, the American College of Forensic Examiners, and the American Psychology Law Society, among others. One colleague remarks that your overall research program has been truly exemplary, and that your presentations are first-rate in clarity and value. Since 2007, the year you started teaching at Fairleigh Dickinson University, You have published 13 scholarly articles on topics ranging from sexual predator laws to rape drugs. Currently, you have 1 manuscript under review and 3 in the preparation stage. In studying this sensitive and grim subject matter, you developed the only validated typology for sex offenders and the most prominent and most validated risk assessment for adolescent sex offenders, this according to a fellow professor and collaborator. He calls you the preeminent psychologist, researcher on issues relating to the sexually violent predator legislation enacted in many states. Part of being an exemplary professor and researcher is taking findings beyond the realm of academia. As a forensic consultant and examiner, you've evaluated more than 2,000 adult and adolescent sexual offenders over the past 30 years. Both defense attorneys and prosecutors have looked to your expert testimony in more than 200 cases. This expertise translates back into the classroom. As students learn about abnormal psychology, forensic psychology, psychopharmacology, criminal responsibility, psychology in the law, and psychology and criminal behavior in your classes. Your research informs your ability in the classroom, raising your performance as an educator to the very highest level. It is our great pleasure to bestow upon you the Distinguished Faculty Award for Research and Scholarship. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Joe, Provost Kiernan, and Provost Capuano. I'd like to preface everything that Provost Capuano has just shared with you by describing a bit of my rather serpentine journey. I did not start out even knowing a sex offender to the best of my knowledge, let alone having any interest in sex offenders. My path has been quite, as I said, serendipitous, and it began in California, raised as a child, and my ambitions as a college student, actually, were nothing more than to be a forest ranger. And when explaining this principal ambition to my infinitely patient mathematical physicist father, he listened and he said, "That's wonderful, son. And what will you do for the other 10 months?" So I listened, as I always did, and I thought, well, maybe this is not going to work. What else will take me to the mountains that I love? And I decided to be a geology major. And that is the path that I took, all the way up through a course in micropaleontology, and decided that maybe I can look for tiny fossils in the mountains. How naive was that? The Vietnam War intervened, and various other serendipitous occurrences, and I ended up with a graduate degree in experimental psychopathology. That was followed by years of postdoctoral fellowships in which I was trained, of all things, to be a psychophysiologist, and spent years afterwards pasting electrodes on schizophrenics. A far cry from what I was trained to do. Somewhere along the road, 1979 it was, that I published my first book on biological bases of normal personality, not what I had been doing research on at all. And only a year later, in 1980, I had written a book on creativity, of all things. And it comes many, many years later, in 1980, when after 4 or 5 years as a postdoc and deciding that it's time eventually to grow up, and I was on the job market and had gone off from the University of Rochester Med School, where I was at the time, to Boston for a couple of job interviews. I ended up applying for a job which took me to an odd place that I'd never been in my life before. It was a prison. And met for the first time a sex offender, or a lot of them, hundreds of them. The position that took me there was simply called Director of Research. And naively thinking at the time that this would be something that would allow me to move from Rochester to Boston, so in 6 months I could assume this new, much more honorable position as a beginning faculty member, is why I eventually accepted the position, and lo and behold, 17, 20 years later, I was still there. There was something that I found profoundly complex, but equally profoundly demanding about the problem of sexual violence. And it is a path that I have followed more or less in a straightaway fashion to this day. But all along, I can't say that my rather eclectic interests, in which I define myself as little more than a dilettante, have varied considerably, even within the area that you would generally think of as homogeneous, meaning sex offenders. So it has been, as I said, a long, unusual journey, but one that I'm very grateful for, and one that I found infinitely rewarding. On a funnier note, there is something that I do find magical about data. And my dear wife, Jackie, who's somewhere in the audience here, can attest that although she can't find me, she believes that I am indeed on my computer until 1 or 2 in the morning analyzing data. Not because I must, but because I'm riveted. There is something that I find magical about data. On that note, I would like to simply end by thanking so very, very much Chris, who brought me to FDU eons ago. Chris, I'll never forgive you. I mean, forget you. And I would also like to say a few words about how extraordinary both Provost Kiernan and Dean Mills have been. They are absolutely over the top. They are amazing. All I can say is that the university that I came from, and I won't mention what it was, before I came to FDU, no one ever saw, let alone met, let alone spoke of the provost. The dean was always either the dean or referred to by expletives. I never dreamed in coming here I would have a personal first-name relationship, and probably as Dean Mills is going to testify, it took me a long time to say Patty. It was always Dean Mills. I'd also like to say how enormously grateful I am to Dr. Dumont, the chair of our department. He is awesome. I can't imagine having a chair that I would love more than Dr. Dumont. I mean, who else would take such meticulous care at framing 30-year-old letters from self-actualizing serial killers? They're posted all over our hallway. Although I don't know if Jane is here, Jane Chambus, I would also like to say Jane, too, is absolutely awesome. Jane is worth her proverbial weight in gold bullion to FDU. And she has been absolutely amazing. And I've worked with many grants managers in the past, many, and she is outstanding. She eclipses them all. Finally, I would like to, of course, just say thank you very, very, very much to my lovely wife, wherever she is, somewhere in the audience here, Jackie. Oh, there she is, over there, right in front of me. I'm looking into one of the Klieg lights, so I can't see you. I know that I have great confidence, in fact, that you're all far, far more supportive of me than I am of myself. Thank you very much.
Jackie, I took his computer away. I'll give it back to him tomorrow. Next, I'd like to call Professor Kiran Sharma, who is receiving the Distinguished Faculty Award for Service. Kiran? Congratulations. Kiran Sharma, Professor of Mathematics, Computer Science, and Physics, Distinguished Faculty Award for Service. Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung once proposed, that is, you are what you do, not what you say you'll do. And you, Kiran Sharma, are the definition of an FDU doer. With great enthusiasm and dedication, you have worked on behalf of the university community since your arrival in 1995. As head of the Maxwell Becton College of Arts and Sciences Department of Mathematics, Computer Science, and Physics, for nearly 9 years, you created new courses, developed computer labs, and mentored and recruited students, all while teaching a full course load and devoting energy to the university at large. Students have benefited from your founding of the Archimedean Society, which focuses on mathematics and computation, and Phi Mu Epsilon, a mathematics honor society. Beyond the classroom, students can now join the mentoring program you've instituted in Morris School District middle schools, as well as other experiential learning opportunities that you have established. In service to your colleagues, you have devoted time and attention to the Faculty Handbook Committee, the Executive Committee of the Faculty Senate, the Becton College Educational Planning Committee, the Distance Learning Committee, the Web Advisor University Committee, and the Strategic Planning Committee for the Metropolitan Campus. You have contributed to the expansion of the Two Worlds Study Abroad program by encouraging a partnership with Amity University in India, and to the establishment of the Center for Cybersecurity and Information Assurance within the Office of the University Provost. When you are not advising and encouraging students, elevating the department, or advocating for the faculty, you are reaching out to the community beyond university walls. These outreach initiatives include professional development workshops aimed at elementary and secondary school teachers, under the umbrella of the Institute of the Enhancement of Math and Science, which you co-chair. These workshops are designed to augment the understanding of the nationally implemented Common Core standards, which define mathematics comprehension for K-12 students. In the words of one colleague, all of these examples point to both the breadth and depth of her commitment to the university, but they do not capture the true level of involvement, seriousness of purpose, understanding of the institution, and willingness to give of herself tirelessly that characterizes Professor Sharma's performance on every level. Your impact at FDU is tangible and true. Today, we recognize these efforts with great appreciation and present to you the Distinguished Faculty Award for Service.
Thank you, Provost Caprano. This is a great honor. This is wonderful, and I really thank the selection committee for selecting me for the Distinguished Faculty Award for Service here at FDU. And as President Drucker just quoted, the best prize that life has to offer is a chance to work hard at work worth doing. To me, it's a pleasure to come to work among so many lovely, wonderful, and committed people. I wouldn't be standing here without the support and encouragement that I've received from my seniors and my colleagues. Starting from Peter Falley to Ken Green, I've derived strength to challenge myself at every step. The late President Adams, his brilliant vision of global education. Professor Wagner, who has been my mentor, and he's always been a voice of reason. Dean Weinman has encouraged me to build on ideas that I bring forward each time. He's been helpful and supportive in all possible ways. From Provost Creenan, I have learned to appreciate the complexities that face institutions of higher education. And from my Senate colleagues, I've learned the importance and strength in shared governance. To my most amazing departmental colleagues, intelligent and smart, thank you for your trust and your support all the time. Leila, Merrick, Juliana, Jawad, Bob Mayans, Parvin. I just cannot thank each one of you. We have, putting in tireless hours for so many endeavors over the years. I've participated in many collaborative projects with colleagues across 4 colleges and have been through, it's been a thorough pleasure working with everybody on wonderful things together. I thank President Drucker for his leadership. And I also thank Provost Capuano, Provost Foley, and Provost Creenan for continued support. None of my accomplishments would be possible without the blessings and support of my parents. My mom, who passed away last year, I think of her every day. My dad, always gently pushing me to achieve higher grounds. He called me today to congratulate me, and his question, follow-up was, what next? My best friend and my sister Jyoti and her family, always there for me. And to my awesome and wonderful husband, a rock-solid support and love, and my 2 loving daughters for endless support. I couldn't have done much without all the help that I got along the way, and with all the wonderful people that surround me. I sincerely thank every one of you. Thank you.
Okay, I'm back for the Pillar Awards. Just as we have many faculty who have given years of distinguished service to FDU, we have many staff members who have also made outstanding contributions to the success of our university. These pillars of FDU have served FDU with commitment and distinction for 10 years or more. They promoted civility on campus and have shown unusual concern for the welfare of students and serve as role models for their colleagues and students. This award is made to 2 people from each campus each year. Here at the Metropolitan Campus, the recipients of the Pillar Awards are recognized on plaques that are on the walls in Robeson Hall. We've been inducting people into pillars or giving Pillar Awards since 2001, and currently there are 27 previous recipients of the Pillar Awards who are recognized on the wall. Today, I'm proud to introduce two new members of that society who will receive Pillar Awards from the Metropolitan Campus. First, we have Rosemary Murphy. Rosie, would you come? Okay. Rosemary is the administrative assistant in the Regional Center for College Students with Learning Disabilities here on the Metropolitan Campus. She has been a dedicated FDU employee for more than a quarter century. She started in the President's office in 1987 and moved to the Regional Center in 1990, where she manages so many facets of the operation that she has become the heart of the program. She is known for her strong work ethic and her long days, but she's even more renowned for her sensitive, friendly manner and her willingness to help everyone who needs a hand. And her students are like members of her extended family. Now, I remember President Adams used to say that when you give these awards, try to make it personal. So I'm going to break from the script, and where it says members of her extended family, let me tell you what that means. This is the mother of 10 children, 4 of whom are FDU alums, 22 grandchildren, and 16 great-grandchildren. So I guess she's been busy over the years, but not too busy to pursue her own education. And Rosie enrolled in one of our degree programs in Petrocelli College. And in 1998, she earned her degree from FDU with a 4.0 perfect grade point average and was awarded the Academic Dean's Award in Petrocelli College that year. In putting some things together for this, I asked Dr. Farrell, who directs the Regional Center, tell me some things that I should say about Rosie. She gives me a list, but you can think of what's on the list. Can't get by without her. She can find anything. Hardworking, manages all those things. But here's the sentence that struck me the most. This is from her director. Best of all is her outstanding sensitivity to our students. This is especially important to our students with learning disabilities with whom she interacts all day long. You put all of this together, and it adds up to someone who surely deserves to be enshrined along with the other outstanding Metropolitan Campus members who have earned this award. Congratulations, Rose.
I heard about the award when I was notified. The title reversed in my head. I couldn't get it out of my head. I reversed the title because Fairleigh Dickinson is the pillar. Fairleigh Dickinson is a pillar for students all across this great country, students from all over the world. It's a center of learning. It's a center of the spirit of unity for all young people. It's it was the pillar for adults. Adults, whether they're in their mid-30s or their mid-90s, they could come back to school. And I know when I went back under the direction of Dean Berkins and Dean Swansea and Dolores Hart of the Success Program, and they just try to make the schedule adjust for adult schedules. And on a personal level, Fairleigh Dickinson was my pillar. I lost my husband over 34 years ago, had 10 wonderful children, but how is they going to raise them? I mean, how is they going to support them? Who is going to hire a 50-year-old homemaker who has been in the business world for over 25 years? Fairleigh Dickinson hired me. Fairleigh Dickinson was the reason I was able to continue to raise my children, and not only that, it ensured a college education for all my children. So Fairleigh Dickinson, most of all to me, finally, the pillar of Fairleigh Dickinson, regional center where I had gone to work after the president's office, and the Regional Center for College Students with Learning Disabilities under the excellent direction of our university director, Mary Farrell, and our campus directors, Barbara Burns and Bill Pizzuti in Madison, and our coordinator, Grace Hottinger. It's just so wonderful to see all these young students come in who have been diagnosed with a learning disability like dyslexia, and our wonderful learning specialists. Oh, they're so dedicated. Barbara Burns and Sharon Fleischer and Michelle Myers and Denise Cateo and Stephanie Hodges and our retired directors. I remember the Vinnie Barassi, our retired learning specialist, Kathy Ovelli. What an influence these young people had, and it was to watch them emerge with such confidence and emerge with a college diploma, and so many of them graduated with honors and on to graduate school. It was just a joy to watch. And so finally, I just thank everyone for this wonderful honor. I have to thank my wonderful family, my wonderful fun family, and most of all, I think I have to thank President Michael Adams for initiating and establishing this award. His spirit is going to be with us always. Thank you.
Leah. This is Leah Ronke, Associate Director in the Office of Enrollment Services on the Metropolitan Campus. And I could read some things about her work on the Green Committee and Operation Care Package and so forth. But once again, I'm going to deviate a bit. We are not very far removed right now from the busy registration season where many of our students came to campus to enroll in our courses and hopefully finish their degrees. And a lot of those students are able to do that because of the work of people in the enrollment services and financial aid areas, and that's where Leah is outstanding. Leah has an office in the Crone building near the enrollment service section. But if you go looking for her there, the chances are she's not there. She's out in the front, sitting at the desk, working with some of our students or their families. Now, in the last few weeks, I've had the opportunity to wander around campus trying to stay out of the way, even though people in enrollment services probably think that I should stay out of the way. But I get to go and watch the work that these wonderful people do. And so a couple of times I'll go and I'll stand behind Leah and I'll say, so what are we doing? How's the enrollment look? She says, well, I have a whole list here of students who haven't registered yet and who have issues of various kinds. And I look and she's got like 10 pages of these names with notes. And she says, well, we're going to call them all, and we're going to try and get them all to come in so that we can talk to them and find out what we can do to help them succeed and enroll in the courses. I'll go back a couple days later, see how are we doing with that, and I'll look at the list, and there are these check marks next to all the names. That's when I realized that we are going to call them all means Leah probably called them all, and with help. Then you look at the clearance list. And you say, okay, what do we got here? And you stand behind and you watch some of these wonderful people at work. A large number of our students are first-generation students who come to us with questions about financial aid, billing, things like that. And the staff in that office sits down with each one of them and tries to figure out what will we do. The conversations are sometimes interesting to follow. Okay, I'm going to take you down to financial aid and they're going to help you with this or this or this. Well, okay, that's all we can do with financial aid. There's still an outstanding bill. I don't know how I'm going to pay that. Well, all right, let me talk to you about different plans that we have to make it possible for you to be here at FDU. And sometimes even you have the really hard ones. I'd like to be here, but you borrow too much money. This is not a good idea. An FDU degree for you probably is on another path. You may need to go to a community college and save some money and then come back to see us. These are the kinds of conversations that go on. And I have to tell you, the whole area of financial aid is confusing to me, and I've worked with it for quite a while. To a first-generation family, it's got to be even worse. And I remember standing there and watching these people at work and thinking to myself, I'm thinking about commencement. Commencement's beginning of the semester, commencements. But commencement is the culmination of what we do here. When our students are able to complete our degree programs, walk across the stage, and receive degrees from us. Now, if you think about our commencement ceremonies, there's a point there where we ask the students, and as a group, we recognize the families of the students. Students stand, clap for their families, and certainly their families have done a great deal in terms of sacrificing to get the students to that point. And then we recognize the faculty. Wonderful faculty. They design the academic programs, they teach the courses, they mentor the students, they tutor the students. The faculty got them to that point. But then it occurs to me that beyond those two groups, how many of those students would not have been able to reach that point of commencement without the aid and advice of some of our staff members who work on the front lines, who explain to them how they could make it possible for them to come and pay their bills, which, by the way, pays all of us, and achieve their goals of an FDU degree. All of those people are pillars in my book. But this lady stands tall in that group, and she really deserves this award.
Down my goggles. Thank you, Joe. President Drucker and members of the FDU community, it is with deepest gratitude that I accept this award as Pillar recipient for 2013. I congratulate my fellow Pillars on this accomplishment and wish them continued success in their careers at FDU. I believe that personal success is achieved when luck and talent arrive at the same time. The talent part may be debatable, but as for luck, I stand firm that I hit the jackpot. For the last 10 years, I have been lucky enough to work in the Office of Enrollment Services under the direction of Carol Creekmore. During that course of time, I've come to hold her in the highest regard as my director and vice president. She manages with compassion and fairness and is one of the university's strongest advocates for our students and for her staff. My thanks to the family of Enrollment Services, both Madison and Teaneck. Together we are students, parents, rock stars, writers, chefs, politicos, fashionistas, globetrotters, sports enthusiasts, and gamblers. We begin our day surrounding the coffee maker and negotiating the fridge for a spot, and we spend our day working side by side on the front line of student services, representing FDU with diplomacy, care, and concern. In gratitude to my staff, in order of years of service, Marty, Camille, Vanessa, Sophia. In total, these ladies have over 60 years of service at FDU, and it is evident. They are at the top of their games, managing a few thousand student accounts, both on and off campus, and reconciling all TNEC student deposits. They are my invisible safety net and my daily comic relief. My sincerest appreciation to all the other individuals and departments that go above and beyond, offering support and assistance to me on a daily basis. You know who you are. You are just, I would never be able to do the job I do on a daily basis without you. Last but certainly not least, to the students, for choosing FDU, for sharing your trials and triumphs, for approaching your education with responsibility and dedication, for allowing me to be part of your academic achievements, I thank you.
Just in case our colleagues from the Vancouver campus or the Roxton campus are watching or at some point reviewing these tapes, I'd like to say that I had the opportunity to interview some alumni recently, and one of the questions I asked them was, how many campuses does FDU have? And this was very amusing because it became the subject of spirited debate. But never more so than when one septuagenarian leaned forward and said finally, he thought there was more than one campus. And I asked him, well, where is that? He said he wasn't really sure, but you had to go out Route 46. Good afternoon, I'm Peter Woolley. I'm the provost of the campus somewhere out Route 46. I'm also pleased to recognize two pillars of that campus. The first is Christina Jones. Face the audience. A member of the FDU community for more than 10 years, Christina has served with distinction the EOF program, which provides support for New Jersey students from educationally and economically disadvantaged backgrounds. Christina herself attended college with the help of a similar program, and she now has a relentless commitment to help others have the same opportunity. A counselor, a mentor, and a special role model, Christina herself has earned 2 advanced degrees, has inspired countless students to set high academic and personal goals. Students always respond to her concern and her warmth and passion. Many of her students, in fact, bring their friends to Christina for help, and she never lets them down. A dynamic presence on campus, Christina attends student events in the evenings and weekends. She orchestrates community service opportunities for the students, participates in numerous charitable events. She's a member of many committees where her clear understanding of student issues brings great value. For so well representing FDU and for serving as a guiding light for so many students, we're pleased to present her with this Pillar Award.
Thank you, Provost Willie. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the individual who nominated me and for those who voted for me to receive this prestigious award. I have sat through many convocations, and I've never imagined being up here accepting a pillar on my behalf. It is truly an honor to receive this award. I would have never anticipated being recognized for doing something that I love. My commitment to helping students reach their full potential has been a dream of mine since I was a little girl. My mission in life has always been to help students graduate college with the necessary tools needed to be productive citizens. Little did I know that I would be that motivating voice that students needed to hear to help get them through the most challenging years in college. Little did I know that I would be that inspirational voice that students needed to hear to pursue a degree beyond a bachelor's. Helping others succeed in life is my passion. So to receive this award for doing something that I am passionate about, I am forever grateful. FDU has become my second home, and I cannot continue without thanking those who helped me along this path. This is the emotional part. To my EOF family and mentors, Marjorie Hall and Bradley Levy, words cannot express how truly grateful I am to have you in my life. Marjorie, you have taught me to face my fears and to have confidence in whatever I do. Brad, you have given me so much insight and knowledge and have taught me to be a great leader. Erica Rupert, you have taught me to reach for the stars and never lose sight of my goals. David Jones, you have taught me to never give up on life. Lisette Garcia, you have taught me to have strong leadership skills and to be the best that I can be. To the TNEC staff, Marianne Miola, Christina Filbert, and Angelica Montero, thank you for being so supportive. Yvonne Bodden, thank you for sharing your wisdom and teaching me to have patience. To my mentors in the psychology department, Dr. Rogers, Dr. Whitmarsh, Dr. Kaspering, Dr. Tasso, Dr. Brown, Dr. Maxwell, Dr. Waters, and Dr. Ordway. Thank you for helping me with my professional growth. I have to give thanks to the other individuals who have given me such a strong foundation to stand on. I thank the READY program and its staff for instilling values in me and setting a strong academic and social foundation that I needed to succeed. Last, but certainly not least, I have to thank my family, my children who could not be here today because of school. Thank you for your unconditional love. To my lovely husband, Stephen Wilson, I thank you so much for your support, encouragement, and watching the kids during those long summer nights. I love you with all my heart. I like to conclude with a quote for the students. A dream doesn't just become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. So with that being said, sky is the limit. You can do anything that you put your mind to. But with hard work, dedication, you can excel at it. Thank you.
Yep. And now for something completely different. Roger Kindle. That was impressive. Thank you. You can read with me.
I don't have my glasses, I can't read that. I have these notes, I can't even read them now.
Really?
Waste of time.
Member of our community for 36 years, it begins. Roger has shaped the lives of thousands of student athletes. In addition to his role as the Associate Athletics Director, Roger has coached the men's golf squad for 24 years, guiding the Devils to 4 consecutive conference championships and reaching the NCAA tournament 3 times. He's also head coach of the women's golf team and an adjunct professor teaching courses in sports administration. In addition, for 28 years, Roger was the head coach of the men's basketball team. That's not the Knights. Now, the Knights are here in Metro. I see some confusion there. The Devils are out on Route 46, 46. 46.
What's the number?
Roger won more than 300 games, earning Coach of the Year honors 5 times. He is well known for his dedication and his commitment to his students in and out of the athletic arena. A devoted mentor, there is always a steady stream of student athletes coming into his office. A member of the campus council, he has also run the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, which helps student athletes identify positive contributions to make to society. For the profound impact he has made, we salute Roger as a pillar of FDU.
Like I said, I have notes, but no glasses, so these are useless. Just want to let you know I started working at FDU when I was 5. It's been a great run. And I really appreciate Dr. Woolley for not mentioning my GPA in undergraduates. Thank you. But I want to congratulate all the honorees for their contributions to FDU. It's a great profession we chose. You know, it's great to impact people's lives. I really hope or wish that the impact I had impact on the student athletes at FDU the way they impacted my life. That's very, very important. Like I said, we've had some great teams there, great basketball teams. As a matter of fact, we came over here a few years ago, you know, like 20. And we played the Knights one time, and we only lost to them by 6. And they were supposed to come back to our gym and open it up, and they didn't come back. So they owe us a home game. We've had some great teams. As a matter of fact, I'm really looking forward to our Hall of Fame dinner. In the Hall of Fame dinner, my second team is going into the Hall of Fame, and I think there's only been 7 in there right now, so my second one's going in. One of my former student athletes is going into the Conference Hall of Fame, and one of my golfers is going into the our Athletic Hall of Fame. So we're looking forward to that. And, you know, I'm very proud of all the teams that I've had and all the athletes that I've mentored, but I think the one thing that I am proudest of is the weddings that I'm invited to. I'm invited to some more weddings, and I really asking Dr. Woolley if I can start expensing them, because it's not cheap, trust me. But it's great to see what these student athletes turn out to be. They come back, and it's just great when they come back. They're a team again. It's phenomenal to see, and I really appreciate the Pillar Committee for selecting me. I guess I just outweighted everybody and got the award. But you know, congratulations, and this is a great honor. I really appreciate this, and it's a great university.
Roger, I'll pass your request on to President Drucker to expense those weddings. And I'll ask him to come forward to present the presidential citations.
It's now my honor to continue the tradition started by President J. Michael Adams and award presidential citations to outstanding individuals who have successfully led an important program or process that advances our mission and provides our students with new opportunities to succeed. Christine, Teresa, would you please come to the podium? You'll be fine. Thank you. Winston Churchill once said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." Christine and Teresa have always continued and helped to move FDU forward. No matter the challenges, they are truly unsung heroes of Fairleigh Dickinson University. and I'm very pleased to recognize their remarkable hard work and their persistent optimism and their relentless determination. Specifically, we honor Christine and Teresa for their extraordinary work to run the Endeavor course evaluation system, which has been a major part of our academic life at FDU for decades. In fact, most of the senior faculty have been granted tenure, at least partially, on the basis of the scores they received on the Endeavor. The task of managing Endeavor is a monumental one. It involves, among other things, processing thousands of forms at several stages before they are sent to schools and departments, afterward for scanning and generating reports, and then finally returning them to the faculty. Along the way, Christine and Teresa regularly cope with challenges relating to technology and software. When the process outgrew their work, they somehow secured a new area for their operation, furnished it themselves, and kept Endeavor functioning. Christine and Teresa devote mornings before work, evenings after work, and their weekends to scanning, running reports, printing, and everything that's associated with managing this complex situation. And they do it all with exemplary patience, great sense of humor, and infectious positive spirit. For this incredible effort in implementing this important initiative, I'm privileged today to present the Presidential Citation. Thank you, Christine and Teresa.
I'd just like to say thank you, President Drucker, for thinking of us and selecting us for this award. I'm truly honored to be here. And I'd just like to thank Jeff Wyman for always being there for us and for my family. Thank you.
I too would like to thank President Drucker for selecting us and selecting me for this prestigious award. And I also like to thank Jeff Wyman for his support and for my family. Thank you.
Okay, I am the speaker you've all been waiting for. But there's a little bit of housekeeping. First, any of the honorees who did not have their picture taken, please report to Dickinson Hall 1170 when the proceedings are over so that that can be done. Convocation is a year-round planning process that takes an awful lot of work on part of many people. I'd like to especially recognize Michelle and Joan from my office. And the staff of the President's office and the office of the Provost at Florham for all the work they do to put this all together. Thank you. Well, congratulations, honorees. Thank you all for coming to the 2013-14 Convocation. After we recess, please join us for a reception that's going to be held in the Rothman Center next door. That means food. I wish you a great academic year. I ask you to remain seating until the platform party and faculty have exited, and I invite you to attend the convocation in 2014 at the college at Florham, where Provost Woolley will deliver the closing remarks. Thank you and have a good day.